Hey everyone out there, mine's the Shine Space, and today I want to talk about a movie that I wanted to talk about for a while now, but I just hadn't done so. That movie is the now month-old Sound of Freedom. Now, The Sound of Freedom is a movie about the true story of Tim Ballard, a man who is former government agent worker guy who's turned into, well, this guy who dedicated his life to rescuing children from the trafficking industry. This movie not only tells that story, but also reveals just the horror that is the industry and whole twisted business itself. I saw this movie with some family. I didn't even know this was coming out. This was something that my parents wanted to see. And when we saw it in theaters, it was quite a just really strong movie. It's a very cold, cruel, and really just movie that just shows you just pure reality. I have never watched a movie where I'm sitting there in the theater and I can hear like audiences crying right behind me, in front of me, all around me. I even heard like some of my parents crying there because there's just scenes that just really like the movie starts out. The movie starts and it just punches you across the face. It shows this story about a father having his children taken away from him, and then later the story develops as Tim Ballard, who's played by Jim Caviezel, I think I said his name right, an actor who played Jesus Christ in The Passion of Christ, sets on his mission to start a sting operation in order to liberate these children from these traffickers. Now, this is based on a true story. Many people question the validity of the classic statement from the movies based on the true story. I could say that it is like half and half because the I don't want to say too much with the movie in case it hasn't been seen yet, because this is a movie you gotta watch. It shows the movie shows a sting operation which actually happened. I don't remember the operation, but people who were arrested were this like former model, some other disgusting people, and this was a sting operation that you can look up on YouTube. Just look up the name Tim Ballard, and you can see the whole sting operation and the interview with Tim Ballard about the whole thing. The only thing that is just not true, at least from what I've seen in research that other people say, is just the rest, like half of the movie after that whole sting operation. Because I mean, movies, they do that thing where they put a little more spice and intrigue within their story because, well, just this movie just gotta have more. Now, this movie is very strong because, like I said, it not only shows you the story of our hero here, Tim Ballard, but it shows you the victims, the children, and it shows you the depiction of how they are being, well, used in this whole industry. It shows them being first taken away from the parents. It shows them being transported, ripped apart, taken away, even well, used for sex work. And it does a very good job. All the movie does is just show you. It's just saying this is what's happening. I've heard arguments of people saying, well, The Sound of Freedom is really nothing special. People are just exaggerating the genius of it, because this has been done several times with other movies like Taken 3 and some other ones. I haven't seen Taken 3. That's like a point that was used by Penguin Zero, but I just had to disagree because in most of those movies where they put an emphasis on trafficking and kidnapping, they don't show you the way they are being used like The Sound of Freedom does. it's difficult for me to point out exactly why this is. Like, I'm not some kind of crazy movie genius, but Sound of Freedom just it's just more uh, just puts more punch into its scenes with, well, the children, the victims of trafficking, and the fact that it's all based on a true story. Like, did this happen is gut wrenching, because you see a father have his children taken away. You see children put in these circumstances where they're about to be sold off to strangers to God knows where. Even moments before they are about to be, well, used for work. I'll put in that. I'll say like that. It is quite hard to watch. I was mad. I was sad whenever I saw those scenes where it was just like happening there. It was awful. Those who played the, I'll say, bad people in the movie, I really wanted to punch across the face, but I don't know. It just does well. And based on a true story, and in movies, it doesn't always mean like everything you see in the movie actually happened. It doesn't mean everything actually happened, but parts of it happen. Like, this is inspired. I've seen how the Sound of Freedom has been developing. It's been gaining a lot of earnings in just here in the United States of America. Yeah, I believe it's gross up to $130 million in box office. And I recently saw that they're fixing, based on those numbers, they're fixing to go hit theaters in other countries, which is very good. I think it's a good thing. Towards the end of the movie, you see a message by the actor Jim Caviezel, who played Tim Ballard, saying, "Hey, we made this movie because, I mean, this whole industry is disgusting. It's wrong, and it's only rising, and it shows numbers of how large the industry is, and it's a shockingly high number, and more so with the fact that where I'm living, there's been news where trafficking has been going on, well, very nearby where I'm at, and it's just like, man, you don't think it can happen like where you're living at. But that's the thing with trafficking, that people think that it's something that's so underground, but no, it's like very just in plain sight, but you can't really identify it. It's awful. It's awful. It shows statistics on how rapidly it's growing, how much rapidly it has grown throughout the years. It's a shockingly high number, and it only continues growing. The actor Jim Caviezel says that this movie is supposed to be some kind of a step one, similar to how a particular book, I don't remember the name of the book, but it was a book released that spoke out against slavery, which eventually helped abolish slavery altogether. And this movie, in his own words, is supposed to be that. I say this, and I also want to discuss just how weird and odd the people online in the media have been treating this movie, because they're really like bastardizing the whole thing, message, and turning it way too political. People saying that, oh, this movie is a conspiracy. These people like it because it talks against ours. And if you like the movie The Sound of Freedom, then you are against us. You're I don't know, what the hell was it? They were saying that the movie was very pro QAnon or something like that, because apparently people behind it are QAnon. It has something to do with like QAnon's belief. I don't know what the hell it is. Still don't understand QAnon. But in short, I believe a lot of like messed up things. But among those things, they say trafficking is wrong. And then with this, they're just using that very loose thing and saying, well, this movie is very QAnon because QAnon says trafficking is bad, even though, well, that's still just a valid thing. Trafficking is awful. Trafficking is horrible. Just because QAnon said it doesn't mean it's a QAnon like belief, QAnon pro movie or whatever. Like if I could say it tomorrow, people are not going to go out saying, well, this is a shining space belief. You're probably pro shining space because shining space thinks trafficking's wrong. And they use buzzword after buzzword. Well, this movie is just a pro right wing conspiracy QAnon of fucking buzzword. Like, what are you talking about, man? I don't like how people are making this movie like political and trying to make it sound political, because it's taking away the actual message of the movie. It's just, well, it's either I don't want to watch this movie because these people I'm associated with say this movie is bad, or I'm gonna watch this movie because these other people are saying it's so bad and I just kind of want to piss them off just by watching it. It's starting to seal, to me it seems like that. And there have been like some cases where people suspect that, well, this is the movie that they literally don't want you to see, because there's been videos flowing around TikTok online where screening for the movie Sound of Freedom in most theaters have either been canceled, we're just screened in poor conditions, like AC is off, lights are on, and just giving a bad experience. And when you're watching like any movie in the theater, it's important that you have like quality movie theater experience, because number one, you can't pause it. Number two, like you're all immersed, you're just sitting there, and you're not feeling any kind of, well, you're not supposed to feel any discomfort, like I'm too hot, I'm too cold, or whatever, or it's too bright in here, stuff like that, and you're just fully into the movie that you're watching. And when that's taken away, it just takes away from the whole actual grand movie experience. And they're doing that. There's been cases where people, like I said, they say, well, why are they not letting us watch it? I think it's odd. It's really odd, because this is something that I think no one, by any circumstance, should like disagree on. Trafficking is horrible. It's actually evil. Like the word evil, the hard and raw definition of the word evil, that's trafficking. Human trafficking, and more for children too. It's awful. I forgot to mention that even at the beginning of the movie, it shows you like footage of like people are taking children, actually kidnapping them. So like in the introduction, it'll show you just CCTV footage or whatever, where some guy's like on the streets, just sees a kid and he just tries to rip him off. And there's like one in particular where he gets off a bus and he grabs his kid, and the kid's like getting pulled and trying to get away. It's like, it's fucking crazy. Right? You see that, and after the whole movie, after seeing this story and hearing the message at the end, hey, we're doing this because God's children are not for sale. I'm just like, man, you're right. I'm aware of this reality, and yet I'm just saying here, well, what the hell can I do about it? Like, first step to taking this down, I believe, is number one is just awareness first, right? Number two would be just for people to get the ability to have like grow their voice, and just put strength in the words to say, hey, this shit is not okay, and I don't want to let this happen anymore. As soon as we start doing it, I think there's a better chance that any victim, like, intertwined with the twisted business practice that is human trafficking, they may be liberated just by whatever we decide to do and whatever, well, we may do with God's grace and love, you know? And, but the movie has been out for a month. I've followed it a lot. Actors have been praising the movie, like Denzel Washington, Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, hell yeah, all the good ones. Just say good things about the movie. And it's been out for a month now. I recommend anyone who just hears about this to definitely go watch it, because this movie is way different from, I think, any other movie that just has an emphasis on human trafficking. Not much of an emphasis, but more of a kind of sideline of like, hey, we'll give you a little bit of side boob right here. But this movie just fully shows you, you know, the true horrors that it is. It's sad and sickening. I don't know how someone can be so devolved to engage themselves in that kind of business. It's awful, but I just remember to just pray, do good things, and just put yourself aware with this, and just speak out against anything that's evil, because you know, the only way I think evil rises is not because of the absence, well, not only because of the strength of bad, but just because of the silence of good. I don't think there's too much evil in the world. I just think there's too much good that's just keeping their mouth shut all the damn time. But you know what, without speaking too much, because I am really tired and sleepy, I got stuff to do tomorrow, I'm gonna end the video right here. Now, it's been a long time since I posted anything, and that's just mainly, you know, me and my business, me and my stupid excuses, family, work, personal, crazy stuff, whatnot. It's good to finally talk about this topic, because I guess I really didn't know how to approach this topic, if I would be able to talk about it well, if I didn't say something wrong. I hope I didn't say anything wrong. By wrong, I mean like factually wrong, not wrong like I hurt someone's feelings. But if I do get something wrong, right, something I should have done, well, sorry. But without saying too much, that's about it. Thank you everyone so much for watching. My name is Shine Space. I'll see you on the next video. Have a good night. Bye now.